Right, so let's have a look at this window. I'm just going to press Control and up while my mouse is over this viewport. Okay, and that gives us full screen view. So we're looking at this window, and we can see that it has a frame around the top and down the side, and it has a lip here for the rainwater to come off, I would think. And then inside this frame it's got a kind of beam across here and another lip, obviously again from the top for the rainwater to fall off, and then a window frame in here. Now this window opens, and I'm going to hazard a guess that this window doesn't. This one's fixed, I would think. Okay. And the reason I know this one opens is because in the image Gatehouse front perspective, which I'm going to flip to from down here, if we have a look down over here, we can see this one is open. Okay. So we're going to go and do exactly that. Right. So first thing we're going to do is create this sort of like tiny frame around the edge. I think that's the first port of call. Alright. The other thing that's worth mentioning actually, just while we're here before we do that, is that these sort of flat parts of the window ledge here are actually angled. So again, to help rainwater come off, so we're going to have to angle these. But first off, we'll build a window frame and then we'll deal with that afterwards. So I'm going to press Control up, and then I'm going to press over here while we're in our main 3D view. I'm going to press Control up again because I just like having, I like having lots of space to play in, really. And then we're going to make a window frame. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll go to let's see, what should be the first thing that we do. I think the first thing that we'll do is let's just okay. First thing we'll do is we'll object snap cursor to center. Okay? Because when we build our new bit, we want it to be right in the middle there. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to Shift A. We're going to create a cube. Okay? So now we can just pull this out and we have a cube. So in fact, I've got an idea. Why don't we we'll start to use some layers actually. Let's start to use some layers. So let's delete that. So X delete. Okay. Now then, if we come down into, if we make sure we're not in edit mode. Okay, so make sure that we can't see these, we just press tab. So that basically down here we see object mode. And what we want to do is come down into this little kind of box here. These boxes are layers, right? And anything with a dot on it means that it's got something on it. So if I click on this one which has a dot on it, we can see that I've got a flat plane and a camera. And that was basically to do the render, okay? Now I can see these things both together if I press the Shift key and then press this one down at the same time. Okay? So I'm gonna, let's go in here to start with. Let's make a new layer, just the one below it. Okay, so all we need to do is press it, and it's pressed. Right? Your gatehouse will disappear, that's fine. If you want to get it back, you can just click on this first layer and you can see it's back. Okay, but for now we'll go down underneath here, and that means that we're away from the gatehouse. So with this selected, let's go and press Shift A and add a new cube, and that will appear right in the middle here, which is grand. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, first off, I think what we'll do is just make the basic kind of shape. So I'm going to press N on the keyboard, and then I'm going to, over here, the Y dimension I want to make much smaller. Okay, so I'm going to, in fact, if I click and hold over this and drag it, it'll go much flatter. Okay, so the Y dimension about 0.2, thereabouts. Okay, now then, the next thing I want to do, if I zoom in a little bit, is I want to go into edit mode, so I'm going to press Tab, okay, and then I'm going to press the A key to deselect everything. Right, okay. Now the next thing I want to do is go into faces mode, so Control Tab and then select face. And then what I want to do is I want to select this face, so right click on there and then flip it round and select, shift select the other face on the other side. Okay. Now my cursor's in the way here, it's getting really annoying, so I'm just going to left click it over there just to get it out of the way. Okay, so we've got two vertices, we've got two faces selected here, right? So what we want to do is we want to extrude it, so we press E for extrude. And at the moment it will do this, which is a bit wacky. So we press escape. Right? So now what we've got is two extruded faces that haven't extruded, they're in the same spot as the other ones. But they're just sitting there nicely waiting for us to do something. So what we want to do is we want to press S on the keyboard for scale, and then we can come in and just kind of scale this in slightly around about there. Okay, and then we've got the beginnings of a window frame. And the next thing we want to do is just delete these two faces, so we press X and then faces. Okay. So we've got the beginnings of a window frame, which is great. Now the only problem is that it's left this kind of big gouge out of the object. So we're going to fill these. It's dead easy. Press Control and Shift, and we'll go into edge mode. And then we're going to right click on this edge and then shift right click on the other edge here, and we're going to press F for fill. Okay, if you wanted to do it using the menus, we can right click on there, shift, right click on there, and then go into mesh, edges, mesh, edges, make edge face, which is F, it says there as a shortcut. Anything that you want to do with vertices, edges and faces are in the mesh menu down at the bottom. Okay. Now we use lots of shortcuts because I'm quite keen on using shortcuts, it's much quicker, but if you needed to know perhaps some of the things that you could do, then you could have a look in here and see these things, right? So let's just do that, make edge face. Alright, now we'll just sort of fling around a little bit, do the same here, so right click, press shift key, shift right click and then press F, and then do the same at the top. So right click, shift right click. Okay, and then we have effectively what is the beginnings of our window frame. Now then, what we need to do is we need to fit it. In fact, it might even be a little bit too big. In fact, we'll deal with that in a minute though. Okay, so we're gonna resize it now. So this is where the layers bit comes in really handy. So if we press the tab key now, so that we're in object mode, what I might want to do is just turn width down to maybe 0.1, so it's nice and thin. Okay, that looks much better. Okay, so what we want to do is, we can see now down at the bottom here, we've got our layer selected here. So what we want to do is shift click the layer that's got our gatehouse on it. So now 2 of these layers are selected, and we can see that our window frame has quite nicely ended up here. So I'm just going to move this kind of in position. You can see, you can kind of see it in position here. And then I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to press S on the keyboard and scale it down, just so it's nice and, so maybe to about there, just to get the rough kind of first measures in. So we can see it's, yeah, it's kind of, it's much smaller if we just move it into the side here. You can see, yeah, it's much, I'd say that's probably about right actually. I'm kind of happy with that sort of size, so I've scaled it down. So the next thing that we need to do is get this to fit inside the window. Now you don't use scale in order to do this, because if you start to scale things, if I just, in fact if I pull this out and I'll show you, if you scale this, say lengthways to make it go further up, so if you press S and then Z to scale up, if I exaggerate it a little bit, you can see that what happens is this becomes really long and these stay really short. So we need to, I'm going to undo that, so we need to do it a different way, and this is how we'll do it. Let's just pull this back into position. Okay, and then I'm going to press Z on the keyboard so we can see it in wireframe mode, and then I'm going to press 1 so we go into front view, and I'm going to press 5 to make sure I'm in ortho. So what it needs to say up here is front ortho. If it says front persp, then press 5 again, so we're in front ortho. Okay, so then all we need to do is zip down here like so. We need to press tab so that these are all in edit mode, and then I'm going to control shift so that we're in vertex mode. Okay, and I'm going to press A so they're all unselected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press B so we can do a border select around these edges here, and I'm going to pull this in, and I'm just going to take it so it's just inside, so it's just inside this window. Okay, just ever so slightly, just inside there. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, so I'm going to press A, deselect, press B to border select, and then do the same here. Just inside, which is great. And I'm going to same, press A to deselect, B to border select, do the same at the bottom. And then I'm going to press A and then B and do the top, so I can fetch this up. Okay. Right, so if we go into object mode by pressing tab, and then I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to press Z to go into shaded mode, and then I'm just going to have a quick look and see how it's looking. Okay. Now when we come back, we'll check out the widths of this just to make sure that we've got it right. Might need to do a little bit of changing. If not, then we can get on and we can start to extrude areas out so that they're all kind of shaped up